What is up, everybody? Welcome to Towns of 505. Welcome to the channel if you're new, or welcome back if you're a lovely subscriber. Today, me and Briar, we will be continuing our deep dive through Deep Purple. Yes, and well, it's been forever. Last time we met, we did their last album, and it's funny. Like it feels like they've gone through a bunch of lineups now, which was "Come Taste the Band." Now they're believe this is a reunion album, which Brian will go further into with his background information. But before that, Brian, how are you doing this uh, for me evening?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I had a pretty long day because for those in case your viewers don't know, I'm a karate teacher, and we had testing going on for some students, so that takes a few hours.
I can imagine. Well, as long as everything worked out there, that's awesome.
Yeah, everyone passed, so that's good.
That's great. That's great. But Briar, without further ado, give me the background information on the album.
Yeah, so this was not. It's been 9 years since Deep Purple released an album, and because we all know after Come Taste the band essentially broke up, because the whole Tommy Bolin lineup really wasn't working out, especially in the live setting, and drugs were also becoming a big thing. So, so basically, what happened between then and now? So, of course, we're talking about Perfect Strangers, by the way. Um, so kind of in the middle in that whole weird period. So all the members went on and did their own thing. I mean, of course, most famously Richie Blackmore, who was out of the band for already by this point, but of course he was doing pretty good. Of course, he formed Rainbow with Ronnie James Dio, and that was pretty successful. Um, and then as for John Lord and Ian Pace, they actually joined forces with David Coverdale, who has been singing on the past couple of albums. This is when, at this point, David Coverdale decided to form a new band, and that band turned out to be Whitesnake. And you actually see him on this album cover. So you can see John up here, and there's Ian right there, and then with David right there. And of course, we all know, of course, Whitesnake. It took them a while for them to really get into the mainstream, but he got their start in the late '70s. Um, and for Ian Gillan, who of course has been way out of the band for quite some time. Of course, he formed a couple solo bands. He formed the Ian Gillan band, and later he would join. Then later he would form a separate band, aptly titled just Gillan, which I have this kind of little mini this box set, which pretty much is all the studio albums. Some really cool stuff. If they're a Gillan fan, I think you should definitely check out the Gillan band. I think there's some really great stuff in that. Um, and then Roger Glover, he was also doing good on his own. He was actually doing some producing. He produced for a lot of bands like Judas Priest and other hard rock acts. And then he even joined Rainbow for towards the end of that little stint. Um, but overall, everyone's doing okay. And a little funny little event happened as well. So if we can recall all those episodes ago, of course, in the early period, we had Rod Evans, who was lead singer. But it was actually a funny story. So at some point, some kind of, I don't know, some touring, I don't know what you call these like touring committees or whatever. They came up to Rod Evans and they asked him, "Hey, do you want to form Deep Purple since the real band's not no longer around?" And Rod was like, "Sure, I can do that." Lo and behold, when the actual band found out, yeah, they weren't happy about that, and so they ended up suing Rod Evans because of it. And the band members, they won that case, and as punishments, Rod Evans no longer has any gets no money from all the songs he wrote in the Mark One lineup. And then he's been kind of on his own ever since. No one to this day knows what he's doing, but apparently he's still alive. But yeah, just kind of totally exit the public space. And I guess partly because of that lawsuit, it kind of inspired a lot of the members to finally bring the old Mark II lineup back together. Um, and it helped, and it kind of helped because I think Richie Blackmore was starting to get fed up with Rainbow because he was trying to go for in the late 80s, kind of in the early 80s. He took Rainbow in a more foreigner-esque direction, which had some varying degrees. And Ian Gillan, for that matter, the Gillan band was debunked, and he was, as we all know, he was briefly in Black Sabbath for one album, of course, Born Again, good stuff. So I guess it also comes down to money. They kind of want, I guess a couple of them were really want that Mark II lineup money. So they kind of decided to go ahead and reform the band, and therefore Deep Purple Mark II is back together. And they recorded the album. It came out in October of 1984, and it comes with no surprise that this actually did pretty well commercially with all the hype. And because of that hype, it got to number 5 in the UK and even number 17 in the US. So it did pretty good, especially for a comeback. It did pretty well commercially.
Man, I wish Ian Gillan would have did more with Black Sabbath. I still thinking I'm like, imagine we had another Ian Gillan Sabbath project, but it is what it is. But Briar, what are your brief thoughts on the album before we start going track by track?
Yeah, so this album, I've always had an interesting relationship with this album. It's an album I've always enjoyed, but I'll admit I don't really go back to the album too often. I have no idea why, because there's some really good material on here, some very strong stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the production that's kind of off. Maybe stuff I'll go into later. But I still do enjoy this album. It's still going to get a really good score, but it's definitely, I would say this is probably definitely the best album from the 80s from this band, because we're going to get to some other albums they released during this period. And we'll see, just they kind of start to fall off a little bit.
I really like this album. I remember being so surprised with how good it was because we haven't heard them together since Who Do You Think We Are in 1973. And then, of course, they then Burn, new lineup. You just get new lineups. And then I remember going into this, I remember Brian telling me before listening to like, yeah, this is the Mark II lineup. I'm like, wow, Mark II lineup. I'm like, how good will they be? I mean, they haven't sung with each other in basically 11 years. So will the chemistry still be there from back in the 70s? Will their 70s sound good in the 80s? But I listened to it. I'm like, it's a really good album. I really enjoyed it. Jason commented, "What's going on, guys? What's up, Jason?" It's nice to see a nice comment every once in a while. I never get comments on my live video, so it's cool to. I know, sad to say, Jason's probably not gonna have anything to say about this album because he probably either listened to it for his 1984, didn't care for it, or didn't listen to it at all. One of those two. But thank you for watching, Jason. If you continue to watch us, thank you. Whoever's watching this video, always appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get into the actual album itself. We open up with the opening track on the album, "Knocking at Your Back Door." Not knocking on heaven's door, knocking on your back door.
Yeah, very different door we're talking about, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Enough of that. Yeah, we're not gonna go that deep on that. But I will say this is a really good opening song. I love how it kind of takes a bit to get into it because you have John's organ just slowly creeping in, and then followed by the bass and the drums, and then it just keeps building until we finally get to the main song, and you just get this really good catchy riff from Richie, and it's a really good vocal melody that Gillan is doing throughout the song, especially the chorus. I think the chorus is very strong. Definitely one of the most memorable choruses on the album. Just a really good, strong guitar solo. Had a good fair amount of radio airplay when it came out as a single. And I just think it sets the album on a really good tone. Um, and yeah, I will say this is one of the songs I definitely go back to the most on the album.
I'm definitely with you, Briar. This is a great way to open up the album. It's the longest song on the album, but to me, it's definitely one of the strongest songs on the album. I remember again going into this album, I wasn't sure what this album was gonna sound like. I didn't know if I was gonna like it or not. I listened to the first song, and I'm like, right away, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be a great album. I could tell this has Mark II lineup all over it, and that I mean, I know it's the basic choice, but the Mark II lineup is the best lineup. I mean, it's sad we don't get a lot of albums
Oh yeah.
from the Mark II lineup, but hey, it's always good to enjoy the little weekend instead of getting none of it. That's how I look at it. But Ian, he's just proving why he's starting to climb up the ranks as one of my favorite hard rock singers. I thought he was pretty good, but after our review on Born Again, I'm starting to really appreciate his voice a lot more over the years, and I'm glad this is just makes me happy. We did the Black Sabbath review going into the Deep Purple review, so I could appreciate what he had there, so I could go into this great stuff. Um, yeah, great, amazing way to open up the album. I don't comment because I'm usually in your video with you. True. That's true. I'm guessing you're like in the middle of their discography. Yes, yeah, we're kind of
I
getting in the middle of the
guess.
discography. I
I
mean,
get. Of course,
mm,
they're coming up with another album in July.
yeah, which it's crazy. They already released the album this year. Actually, the Splat. That's
Mm.
gonna be the album that's gonna be released. Which good news for us. That's gonna be another album for us to review. But um, yeah, it's good. It's well, and plus, there's a lot of albums that aren't on Apple Music, like the one the Banana album, which that'll be
Yeah.
reviewed. I've heard a couple of songs on that album. It's an album that's released by a band called Deep Purple. But anyways,
Mhm.
let's continue on this album. Next song on the album, Under the Gun. What do you think about Under the Gun?
Okay, this one's a more faster paced sort of track. The guitars are definitely much heavier, as well as the organ. It definitely has that kind of more classic, heavy Deep Purple sound. Some good bass work, a nice good guitar solo, um, and excellent drumming from Ian Pace, of course. It's a very solid rocker for the most part, and again, Ian's doing pretty good vocally. I'd say he still does a really solid job. Although, again, I think I said it before, but I still think that Born Again, that's where his vocals peaked, and this is kind of where you're ever so slightly hearing Ian's vocals aren't quite the same level as they once were. He still screams a little bit on this song, but it's definitely not as powerful, just on based on the past. But still, he still does an admirable job. But still, pretty good song.
Yeah, I've always thought that as far as vocally concerned, I always feel like Ian Gillan, like his voice was at its best on Black Sabbath. I know a lot of Black Sabbath fans will disagree with me. I know a lot of Deep Purple fans will disagree with me. There's gonna be a lot of disagreeing with me saying that. With us saying that. But it's true though. I feel like he was at his most passionate. I don't know, for some reason Ian Gillan and Black Sabbath, it worked out for some reason. I remember listening to it. I remember I didn't know it was the guy from Deep Purple. I was like, this guy, I don't know who he is, but he's a good vocalist. I'm very happy. Um, I'm very happy we get him doing his vocals on Black Sabbath. And when you told me like, yeah, it's Ian Gillan, I'm like, Ian Gillan, the guy from Deep Purple. I'm like, wow, just my mind was blown. And going to the song though, I thought this was a really good song. This has that 70s Deep Purple sound, but Yeah, that's what I like. They're not trying to overly blast you with 80s sounds. Like there's just like great rock and roll song. Yeah, I get kind of hear what you're talking about. Like he's not the Ian Gillan when he was with the Deep Purple back in the 70s, obviously, because it's been 11 years. 11 years between albums. So kind
Yep,
of
he's getting older too.
he's getting older, so I'm not expecting him to sing at his truest. And I still think he does a great job singing here.
Yeah.
When I did my deep dive on Kansas, there was a guitar player named Steve Morse who played with them.
Oh
That I
yeah.
guess and joined Deep Purple. Interesting.
Yep, that's true. We'll
I
get to
wonder
his
which.
album soon.
I wonder which Mark
I
lineup that
think he
is.
starts out. That's a good question.
We'll get
I think
there.
the first album he plays on is Perpendicular.
Interesting. Well, we'll get there when we get there. Next song on the album, we got "Nobody's Home."
Okay, so this is credit to everybody. Had a nice good synth intro, and then the guitar riff is again pretty good. I thought the verses were were fine. Definitely not the most memorable verses, but I think the chorus was definitely kind of helped bring it up a little bit more. And I think Richie and John still do really good, just bouncing off each other with the guitar and organ. I think that's definitely the big highlight on here. Um, this song in particular has never been my favorite on here. It's definitely I think to me this is probably the most like safe song. But yeah, that's still not bad. I still like it to an extent, but it's never been one of my favorites on the album.
It's a good song. I thought it was a pretty good song. It does kind of have like it kind of does sound like it. They wrote this to become a single, but then it's not a single. Like I guess they must have like backed out of it being a single, but it sounds like something that they wanted to be a single because it has a chorus, which not many Deep Purple songs have a chorus besides their singles, of course. But this has single written all over it. I'm surprised they didn't release this as a single. I think this would have did pretty good in the charts, but what do I know? I'm not in Deep Purple at the time, so I don't know what they were thinking, but I think it's a pretty good song. I agree the chorus is pretty fun, which I'm not expecting that from a Deep Purple song, it being fun, but it's a pretty fun chorus. I got a good kick out of it. It's not one of my favorites on the album, but I thought it was pretty good. We close out side one with Mean Streak. What do we think about Mean Streak?
Okay, definitely an improvement of the last song. Nice driving rhythm. Again, another good heavy song. Again, good guitar and organ and riff. Again, good guitar solo, and Ian's screaming a little bit more on this one, and it's pretty solid. Yeah, I don't have too much else to add to it, but it's just a pretty good song for the most part. Again, like I said, it's definitely better than the last one.
This is one of my favorites on the album. I thought this was a really great song. It has a really great riff. Um, I kind of get hints of 70s Ian on this song, especially. Like, it's had such a great drive to it. I always thought this was a really great song. I was really getting a kick out of this one. This is another one. I'm surprised this wasn't released as a single either. I mean, I saw the ones that were released as a single are only two songs, but this could have also been pushed out as a single, in my opinion. I thought it was a really great song and a really great way to close out the side one. Really great song. We flip over the record and we get the title track, "Perfect Strangers."
Yeah, so this was the first single in the UK. And this is usually seen as the big one on this album. Like when people think about this album, it's this one. Like it's definitely the fan. And I think even Richie Blackmore has stated this is actually possibly his favorite Deep Purple song. But yeah, but I definitely get the appeal. I mean, you got that very thick organ intro, and then the guitar and riff again just playing off each other extremely well with that big drum sound. It's just one of those songs that you just kind of just groove to it. That very heavy verses, chorus has a good vocal melody. And what's interesting about this song is that there is actually no guitar solo on this one. It's really just the riff going at it the entire time, which it's Richie Blackmore. You're kind of waiting for a solo, but no, this is one of those songs where you're just kind of in the pocket. You're just grooving with it, and you're just really enjoying the overall ride. Um, it does have a bridge section, but again, still no solo. Again, and they're going for a moody. It has a good attitude to it. This is like one of those songs that remind me that yeah, like, this is definitely one of the best songs on here, so it's definitely one of the highlights for sure.
This song is awesome. This is as far as Mark II lineup are concerned, this is like probably in my top 25, like definitely my say top 20 songs in this lineup. For counting this album and the ones that they released in the 70s. It's that good. Um this definitely I could definitely see why this was the big song on the album. You know what? I'm surprised this doesn't get played on the radio now. It has like a great radio feel. We must remain perfect strangers. I like that. And I mean, I love Smoke in the Water. I love Highway Star, but can we get some variety? This is a good song that you can play on the radio. It's a hit song. It's not like it's like an unknown deep cut. This could be a good radio song, but I don't know. No one plays this song, and it is what it is. Well, not where I live, but I think it's a really great underrated. To me, it's an underrated hit song, like for today's standards, because you know I'll probably play it around people. You'll be like, "What the heck is this song?" You know, they'll be like, they won't recognize it. You know, I'll play "Smoke on the Water," Highway Star, but yeah, you know those two songs. But yeah, great song. I think it's underrated. Uh, we move on to the next song on the album, "A Gypsy's Kiss." What do we think about this one?
Okay. Um, it starts out promising. Again, you have a good bass and guitar stuff going on. We're getting kind of going back to a more faster pace sort of vibe. Again, there's some good drumming, there's some nice organ, and there's even a reference to space trucking. Surprisingly, it's kind of an odd place to put a space trucking reference, but still, bridge section was fine. And Ian again still sings it pretty fine, pretty okay. But I will say, I think this is another one. To me, this is another one of those songs that are just kind of pretty standard for the most part. Again, nothing incredible, but I still think there's still some good qualities about it. But of all the songs here, this is probably gonna be one of those I don't really see myself going back that often.
I'm surprised. I thought this was a really great song. This is one of my favorites on the album. I don't know if it's because of the fast paced nature of it. I don't know if it's the way Ian Gillan's singing on it. To me, this has classic Deep Purple written all over it. I thought this was a great underrated song on the album. I was I will say I really like side two on this album. Side one I like a lot, but side two I really like a lot. This song especially, I was like, I don't know if it's because I don't know. I was bopping my head the whole time, like, man, this song is really good, and then it ends. I'm like, man, if it's already over, and I don't know. I thought it was a really great rocking song, in my opinion. Um, we move on to the next song on the album, "Wasted Sunsets." What do you think about this one?
All right, so this is kind of the closest ballad we have on this album, at least to me. And I don't know if this was intentional, but from what I gathered, they wrote this song. The lyrics kind of describe them as being has-beens. Uh, don't know if that's accurate, but it would be interesting. But to me, this is one of those songs that I forgot about. But when I revisit the album, I'm like, oh my god, like how have I not how why how come I've slept on this one? I really like the guitar melody of this one, and I think this is another good Ian Gillan vocal performance on the album, and just the organ really complementing everything. And again, just this piano and guitar are really the MVP of this one, and it's just a good melody throughout this entire track. So I just came out really enjoying this one. This is one I would definitely go back to.
I agree. It's a great song on the album. This is one of my this is a highlight for me. It's another one. I'm like, man, this is I guess it's side two on this album, even though it's only 4 songs. It's really good, and it makes you think like, man, if only there was more Mark II in this period of because this is definitely the most 80s sounding of the songs on this album, and I'm like, man, Deep Purple does a pretty good job at doing the 80s pretty well. It's not forced. It's like their sound, but little bits of 80s in it, not like synths or anything like that, like forcing it. I thought this was a really great song. If you want to call it a ballad, it's a good ballad. I consider it to be more of a power ballad than a ballad ballad. It's like has that power ballad sound, like rocking, but slow at the same time. Yeah, this is just a good song. Really, really enjoyed it. Well, we finish off the album with Hungry Days.
Right. So this song, from I gathered, it's basically the band kind of reminiscing on
You
their
froze,
origin
Brian.
and
You froze.
future.
You froze for a bit.
And we don't know this. I froze. Am I good now?
You're good now. I can hear. You're good. I think.
Anyways, you sure?
You froze again. It's always the last song.
That's what I thought.
It's always the last song.
Last song. That's great. That's good to know. You guys can just let me. Just let me know when I'm better.
Think you're good now?
Which is weird. Okay.
Okay, you're good now. I can hear you. Yeah, you haven't
So
paused in a bit.
okay. All right. Anyway, so basically, song about the band reminiscing about themselves. And long story short, I think this is a really good closing song. Cool rhythm to this one. There's a good bounce to it, and another good strong Ian Gillan vocal on this one, and get some more screaming. Like definitely some of the. I think probably one of the best screams he does on this album.
You're frozen again.
Um,
You froze again. I heard.
yep.
I got up to the part where you said it was one of his best screams on the album. That was the last part I got before you froze.
Okay. Okay. So nearly done. Again, Ian Pace does a good job on the bridge. Good drumming. Nice strings at the end. Bottom line, good closing song.
Okay, good. As for me, that's a great album closer. I think they had a really great bookends on the album. Again, I'm not gonna spoil it, but all I gotta say is I really like side two of this album. Side one again is really good, but side two, man, got it. Side two is really underrated. I mean, besides Perfect Strangers, kind of because it was a pretty big hit, but I think the other 3 songs are really underrated. But Briar, hopefully you don't freeze up on this part. What is your top 5 on the album?
Okay, top 5. Number 5, Under the Gun. Number 4, Wasted Sunsets. Number 3, Hungry Days. 2, surprisingly, is going to go to Perfect Strangers. But my favorite song, and it's always been my favorite song, "Knocking on at Your Back Door."
That's a good choice. My number 5, I'm gonna go with Hungry Days. Number 4, I'm gonna go with Wasted Sunsets. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Knocking at Your Back Door. Number 2, I'm gonna go with A Gypsy's Kiss. And my favorite song on the album, Perfect Strangers. Really great song. And as for your score,
Right, gonna give it 9 out of 10. Very good album. Definitely better whenever I come back to it. It was good to revisit this one. Don't think it's as strong as some of the classic stuff from the Mark II, but I think this is still a really good comeback for this lineup.
I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10. Even though even though I liked a lot everything on the album. I mean, there's I'm a little more stricter. I'm gonna try to be a little more stricter on what I give a 10 out of 10 now. And I will admit I won't go back to Nobody's Home and Man Streak on its own. Those two songs, they're really good songs, but they're not like songs that I will go back to, But top 5, that roughly warrants it for it to be a 9.5 at least. But really great album. I'm happy we finally got to review it. It feels like we've been pausing for this review for a while, but the next review, Slaves and Masters, that'll be our next review. But until next time, Briar, you have any final thoughts?
Not much, but hopefully we're not perfect strangers when we come back.
Exactly. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like I said, actually, our next review is the House of Blue Light. Sorry, I don't know why I mistake that. That'll be the last 80s album we review, though. So we're reaching the end of the 80s already. Only 2 80s albums, and it's funny, like, hey, you enjoyed the 80s Deep Purple discography? Well, that's the end of the 80s already. But because the 70s, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 7 70s albums, and the 80s, you only got 2 of them, Perfect Strangers and The House of Blue Light. Then we get 4 in the 90s, 2 in the 2000s, 2 in the 2010s, 2 in the technically 1, 2, 3, 4 in the 2020s. So funny, we're gonna get 4 2020s albums, which is double the amount we got in the 80s. So it's just, to me, it's interesting. It's interesting to me, but hey, the more the merrier. I like talking about music. I like, nothing to. The best thing about these artists releasing these albums, we don't have stuff. We won't run out of stuff to cover, basically. But till next time, fans, subscribers, random people on the internet, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.